Flosstube, and welcome back to Fairy Tales and French Knots. I'm Erin, and this is my channel about cross-stitch, where I talk long enough to make my family wonder what I'm up to, but short enough that you can watch it on your lunch break. So it's been about a month since I've been here, and I've been doing some traveling. I went to both Celebration of Needlework in Nashua, New Hampshire in mid-May, and just this past weekend, I was in Sharonville, Ohio for Stitchcon Weekend B, because B is the best, as we all know, right? So I thought I'd do a little bit of a review of those events, kind of a compare, contrast, thoughts on both of my events. So to start with, Celebrations of Needlework. And I've been going to Celebration since about 2009. I started going there when we relocated from Erie, Pennsylvania to upstate New York, and I realized that Nashua was about a 5-hour drive away, and I could definitely handle a 5-hour drive by myself. So I went there in May, and if you've never been to Celebration, it's a retreat, but it's also a learning event because there are classes. There are actually a lot of classes to choose from. And I've often taken classes and then come home with projects that I have never finished. So this year I decided I would take one class, and I was taking a class that I knew I would finish. So I signed up for a Nantucket basket weaving class. And let me tell you, my math teacher in 8th grade lied to me, because he used to joke that if we weren't good at math, what were we going to do? Major in basket weaving in college? Basket weaving is hard, people. This is no joke. So, Mr. Woodruff, you were wrong. Basket weaving is not something you do because you can't do other things. Basket weaving is a skill. And I took a class with Janice Card, and I left with this, which is absolutely lovely. The class provided both the base and the mold that went inside and all the materials to make the basket. So if you've never done any basket weaving, I'll give you a real crash course in how this worked, which is you get your base and you put a mold on top of it, and there's a rubber band around the mold. Oh, and the mold is held to the base with a screw, which is right here. So put it together, put a rubber band around the mold, and then you take the staves, the vertical pieces, and put them between the mold and the rubber band and in this little groove, which you can't really see now because it's been filled with staves. And then you weave your cane in and out between the staves. First round is really simple because you can pull the staves out from between the rubber band and the mold and kind of make it do the over-under thing. The second round of cane is much more difficult because you have to actually thread it in and out of those staves without letting them pop out of their little groove. And let's just say there is a lot of swearing involved in this process, which for me is all part of the learning and doing process. So, you know, I take that as something that has to happen. Swearing, getting frustrated, getting hot and bothered, and throwing my hair back into a ponytail because I'm ready to strangle something. But it all worked out in the end. Came out absolutely lovely. Holds one of these little stitch and stash or stash and sew. I can't remember what they're called, but fits right in there. You can then take your pen, stick it into the silicone insert, scissors, things like that. So it sits here next to my sewing stitching area and holds things. And I finished it, and that's what matters. So that was the class I took at Celebration. It came out really nice. I can't say that I will, be rushing to sign up for the next basket weaving class, but I can say that I did it and it's been done. The other thing I picked up at Celebration was I think it was actually a class with one of the sweetest women in the world, Sharon Verbos. The Purple Thread is the name of her business. And she had this design called Angela's Hearts, right here. And it came with the wooden box, which I believe is made by Joseph's Workshop. It's the laser cut walnut box. And what I really liked about this design is she showed it assembled two different ways. First way was like this, where it's, in the box square. But what I don't have a picture of, but what I really liked, showed it assembled this way, like a diamond. And I really preferred that. The other thing that came with it was the floss to stitch it, which is HDF Silk Gandy Dancer. For those of you who know your Vicki Clayton reds, it's a beautiful deep red variegate. So very pretty. And then I think this can go under my finishes to show off too. Before I left for Celebration, I did finish the Spring Dolls sewing set, which is one of Ronnie's creations. It was kitted with her flosses, so it was lots of fun to stitch. And I'd shown the larger of the two dolls, which is this one with its pocket. I finished the other one on 40 count. So here's the other one. And I have the back with the little thread loops. And it will fit inside as a true Matryoshka doll should. Now, if you ever get this set to stitch for yourself, as kitted, it is, they're the same size. So I think the kit included 2 pieces of 28 count to do both dolls the same size. I just chose to do the second one on 40 count so she'd fit in the pocket. So that was Celebration. And Celebration is a pretty long-running event. I think it's got to be 25 to 30 years that Pam Reed from Old Colonial Designs has been doing it. It's a great event. A lot of rather traditional needlework examples. The classes tend to be samplers, lots of different, specialty thread and specialty stitch based projects. I took a basket class. The Spring Dolls were actually a class last year. The market there is wonderful because they bring in vendors from all over the place, not just the United States, but abroad. There are usually some Italian vendors. Rovaris is there. Rami obviously is there. Manny Didana is there. There was, let's see, Stitch New England was there with, threads and patterns and fabrics, Inspired Needle. The folks from Needleworkers Delight and Silk Weaver were there. Old Colonial obviously has a booth with both other people's stuff and her own. So yeah, there's a variety of vendors, lots of bag makers and accessory stuff, which is great. And honestly, I spent most of my cross stitch budget for the year there, but I planned to do that because I knew I'd go. And I picked up some 40 count, mostly neutral fabrics. So that was a lot of fun. I don't have them here to show off, but they're neutrals, they're 40 count, very nice. Anyway, so that's Celebration. And one thing about Celebration, because there are so many classes, you find that people kind of come and go from stitching areas. It becomes kind of fluid. So the person that you were sitting and talking with 6 hours ago has gone to a class, and then you've gone to dinner and you come back and there's a whole different crowd of people in the same place, which is kind of nice, but sometimes frustrating, depending on your social tendencies. That can be great because you meet new people without even trying, or it can kind of make you go hermit and you go back to your room by yourself and wonder where your friend went to. I, for as much of an introvert as I am, can be a social butterfly in those kinds of environments. So I do pretty well, sitting down with new people, or, making a space for myself wherever there's room. But I understand people who don't like that. The other thing is there is not one central stitching area. So there are a couple different lounge areas where people tend to camp out and stitch. Sometimes it's, right in the lobby of the hotel. There's also one of the dining areas that's been set aside for the stitching people. And I think there was another lobby up on like the 8th floor that was also kind of turned into stitching space. So as I said, it's very fluid, and the kinds of projects you tend to see are more traditional, more mainstream stuff that's for sale. The known vendors and known designers. You don't see as much snarky or kind of the newer online only Etsy vendor kind of designs. You don't see as much of that. So that was Celebration. And as I was preparing to go to Celebrations, I got an invoice from Keepsakes. And for a split second, I couldn't remember why I was getting an invoice from Keepsakes, because it had been so long since I put my name on the wait list, and I had at that point figured I wasn't going to get an invoice from Keepsakes. I had one of those panicked, oh my God, did I buy something and forgot about it moments. And then I looked at it again and went, oh, Stitchcon, I got in. So I thought about it for, a little bit, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then I started calling the hotels, because I figured if I'm going to go, the first thing I need is a hotel room. And there was still one available at the Live-In, which if you ever get to go to Stitchcon and that's the option, it wasn't a bad one. I could walk over to the convention center out the back door, across a little sidewalk, and there I was. And it also worked out to my benefit this year because late night stitching was moved to the Hyatt. So I was, a couple 100 feet away from my room when I needed to get back there. It wasn't a long walk. I didn't have to wait for a shuttle or have my car to get back to my hotel. So got my room and got ready to go to Stitchcon. And I did drive by myself again, download an audiobook, get some music on the radio, stop for a snack and gas along the way. I really don't mind driving alone, and it's kind of fun. I can argue with myself or with other drivers, have long conversations, and enjoy it, and be as weird as I want to be, basically. So got there, I got checked into my hotel, went over to sign in, and I am not a early morning person. So I hear that, you could sign in at 10 a.m. on Thursday. I wandered over to the line about 9:45. So of course, at that point, people had been in line since 8 o'clock. Y'all are crazy? No, I understand. You wanted to get your table and be with your friends. I totally get it. But again, my first time there, and I'm a solo traveler. I would sit anywhere that would have me. And as I was standing in line, I started talking with some ladies around me, and we discovered we were all first timers, and we decided to all sit together. So go table 23, we rocked. That would be Rebecca, Beth, Janet, Vicky, Donna, and Joanna. I hope I see you all next year. Who knows at this point, right? But we had a lot of fun, and Stitchcon was an experience. Holy cow. I've never been in that big a room with that many stitchers. And at points it was overwhelming, but the nice thing about stitchers is when you feel overwhelmed, you can just sit and stitch. and nobody thinks you're being antisocial or weird because that's what you're there to do, right? So I had a really good time. The amount of freebies and things that were handed out, that does not happen at Celebration. I have never had people walk up to me while I'm stitching and hand me floss drops and needle minders just because I'm there. That does not happen. I guess I haven't been going to the right retreats because someone said, oh, this always happens at cross stitch retreats. Maybe Celebration is a little bit atypical that way. I don't know. Because I left there with so many needle minders. I've just got gobs of them here in every kind of design with people's Flosstube channels, and they're awesome. I love them. I love these ones here. These ones have little squids on them, little jellyfish. Thank you to Amy for those. That's all it says, is homemade just for you by Amy. So thank you, Amy. And just, they're all so cute. Little cats. I've got, yeah, Stitching with Binks, who I've not met Binks. Looks like he might be related to 310 at Keepsakes. I've got the 20-minute Stitchers and Crafty Kara and Honey Bunny Stitchery and the Disorderly Stitcher and just so much, so many things, so amazing. So thank you to everyone who handed those out. I did not have floss drops or anything really to give away, and now I feel like if I go next year I need some. I did make needle threaders for my table mates because I knew that that was a thing. And my table mates also were incredibly generous, wonderful ladies, brought little gift bags. One of them made little quilted notion bags. I got a floss board with the holes in it. I got so much stuff. Thank you all so much. I don't know what else I can say about Stitchcon other than, wow, I had a great time. Other freebies that I picked up, amongst my favorites was the book of patterns from the Cross Stitch Chat Discord server. I should have known that there was a Cross Stitch Discord server. My husband's a gamer and he's on Discord all the time. So is my daughter. But I'd never considered looking for stitchers there. I will now. And I think my favorite was from Make It Pink, her mom's embroidery. If you play Animal Crossing, maybe you recognize them. I became an Animal Crossing nut for a good chunk of the COVID lockdown. So the idea that I could stitch myself one of Mom's cross-stitch patterns, Mom's embroidery patterns from Animal Crossing for my house just cracks me up, and I love that. Other neat stuff I got a lot of waxers and stuff like that. I think one of my favorites was this one from the Hillbilly Candle Company. It's strawberry pina colada scented. So if you're allergic to strawberries, don't get this one. But I looked at their website, which I'll link below, and they had tons of different scents of the sewing wax. And I used just a tiny bit, and it made my whole project smell nice. So that was exciting. Other freebie, my other favorite freebie was from the folks at, I want to say Table 16, but I'm not positive. That's actually where the Cross Stitch Discord folks were. I got this lovely skein of mock turtle floss from Wonderland Hand Dyed Fabrics and Fibers. Her fibers are Dinah's Ball of String hand dyed flosses. And she was out of her fabric samples when I got over there, but that's fine, not a big deal. I can hardly wait to try this, and I actually I picked up on the freebie table one of the Owl Forest aquatic pieces, and I'm thinking I might be able to use this for it, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Other thing I got that I have already shared the business card with a friend of mine who also does needlework and coincidentally chainmail, was this awesome chainmail scissor fob from Ash at Nix and Nax Crafts. And they have a Facebook page, which I'll link that below too. This is just awesome. I love chainmail. I'm a Rennie. I've done Ren fairs and hung out with all of that crew for years. So it made my heart glad to find not just Stitchers, but Rennies and people who share more than just one interest. It's great. I got to ring the bell at Stitchcon too, because, back up, let me start again. When I was at Celebration, someone brought a big bucket of their friend's projects, and their friend had passed away. I don't know if it was unexpectedly or exactly what happened. I was not personally connected to the original Stitcher. But they brought this big tub of projects, fully kitted, some started, project bags, fabric, pattern, floss, scissors, floss drops, all kinds of, everything kitted together. And we were told, if there's something you think you would finish, please take it. Just don't cannibalize the packaging and, take the floss but not the pattern, or take the pattern and leave the fabric. Take everything. So I took this, which is Forever Young by Heartstring Samplery. And I thought, from what I knew of the woman who started it, she loved Flosstube. She did Stitch Mania. She stitched, as her friend said, like she was never going to die. So I felt like she would have loved to have had her piece at Stitchcon, or to have come to Stitchcon if she could have. So I was determined to finish her project and ring the bell. And at about 12:45 on Sunday afternoon, I rang the bell. And here is the piece. It's falling over. And I really love it. Even though I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, I'm more familiar with Rod Stewart's Forever Young than Bob Dylan's, but that's okay. I'll give Bob a pass. So there it is. And Laura, the original Stitcher, I put her initials down in the bottom corner here. Where's my hand? There it is. So it's over here. There's her initials. Mine are over here. And she had stitched it to about the, let's see, over here, the DER. In this line, she'd finished it right up to about here. So I stitched all of this, and if you saw me at Stitchcon, you probably heard me complain about the berries, because that bowl of berries is insane. It goes on forever. It's especially when you want to get it finished quickly and you're stitching and stitching and stitching and another berry. But it is on 46 count, which I'd never stitched on before. I'd gone as high as 40, obviously with the spring sewing dolls and a couple other things I've shared in the past. I can do 40 count, but 46 didn't suck. I was happily surprised by it, to the point that I did buy in the annex another piece of 46 count. And this is 46 count Doris by Grace Notes fabric. And I bought it intending to stitch this on it, which is Isabella Lee. And I really love those little flying witch heads. They just crack me up. I also think that this little fellow over here, I don't know if it will show or not, he looks like he has an orange pumpkin head. Maybe he does, I'm not sure. But I really love the little witches. They just crack me up. And I thought about changing the alphabet at the top to some quote about witches, but then it wouldn't be the Isabella Lee 1845 sampler. However, I don't think this is a reproduction. I think this was an original creation. Um, the stitcher is, or the designer is running with needles and scissors. So I don't know. And the other thing I picked up because of that red was this red floss, and the pattern picture is not as bright as the model stitch was. So I think this red, which is Forbidden Fiber Co. Ladybug, is much closer to the model than the picture would have you believe. And when you put it on that fabric, it really pops. So not going to start that anytime soon, but I have it and I'm absolutely thrilled to have it. So that was my Stitchcon experience. Some stash added, lots of freebies, so many new friends, which was awesome. And I'm really grateful that I got to go. I'm going to look forward to going next year, honestly. I think if I had to choose at this point, I think I would go to Stitchcon again before I would go to Celebration. Not because I dislike Celebration at all, just because I've gone for over 10 years now, and I kind of know how that works, and I know what to expect, and I enjoyed the folks and the atmosphere at Stitchcon enough that I think I'd like a little more of that in the near future. If I could afford to go to both, I definitely would, but I can't, and that's just the reality of that right now. So that's my stash. I'll go through my pictures, see if I can tack some onto the end here of stuff that I saw. The brag tables at Stitchcon were amazing. Unfortunately, I didn't take a whole lot of pictures of them. Also, there was a huge freebie table. I took no pictures of that. I did paw through it and take a few things, which I'm not going to go through those either. Nothing really special. I did enjoy the number of fingertip towel, breadcloth patterns, and plastic mug inserts. I think another stitcher and I had a really good time spending about 20 minutes seeing who could collect the most of those off the freebie table. Because you know you have some. You do. They are in a box, and you've been wondering what to do with them, and you take them to an event like that, and you put them on the free table, and then you pretend you never had them. I know. But on that note, and in closing, I have a start to share. So I know it's kind of weird to end a video with a start, but that's what I'm going to do. Because I had to finish, so I had to have a start. And what I chose to start is from another one of my old books, just like the moon piece that I shared a couple videos back. I like to go through those old pattern books because you never know what you'll find. And this one is from, I don't have the book out here in my stitch area right now, but the book is Quilt Designs in Cross Stitch from 1989 by the Vanessa Ann collection. And the pattern is called Three Maids A-Sailing. And there they are. And yes, I made a photocopy for my project bag. But I really love that Mariner's Compass quilt used as a sail. And here is my start on a piece of 28 count dyed fabric from, I think it's a solo from Silk Weavers, so it's old. But there it is. Oop, there we go. And you can see I've got the houses in the background and working on the center part of that sail. So that's coming along. And the needle minder on there was the Scrabble tile with my initial, which I believe came from Snickerdoodle Stitch, was something that was handed out at Stitchcon. So thank you, Snickerdoodle. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. I hope to be back relatively soon. Summer's coming. My kiddo will be out of school as of tomorrow. Then she and my husband are both doing community theater projects through a bunch of the summer, so I'll probably have some evenings free to chat with y'all and share stuff. I will try to link as many things as I mentioned in my video below, and I'll see you all later. Bye.